No, but really, who has a dirtier vagina? Courtney Love or Jenna Jameson? It's got to be Courtney Love.
Yeah, she doesn't know how to clean herself.
Because Jenna Jameson had a lot of people to clean her vagina.
She probably douched every day as a matter of her job.
Jenna Jameson has a looser vagina. There's no question. But
I don't know.
Courtney Love is someone who... Okay, Courtney Love has all Kurt Cobain's money, right? And she lost, like she literally just misplaced, like, $300 million. She just couldn't find it because she got so high.
It might be in her vagina.
Probably.
But
I think that's also where that missing Malaysian airline flight is. Just got sucked in by the gravity of her collapsed fallopian tubes. By the way, for those of you who think this is misogynist, make me a sandwich.
yeah, and is it misogynist to think that Courtney Love's a dirtbag? Because if it is, then I guess I'm misogynist.
Yeah, sign me up.
Oh, look at all those feminists lining up to defend Courtney Love and her clean vagina.
Jenna Jameson, there was at least at one point you would have fucked her. Everybody knows you would have fucked Jenna Jameson at one point.
Yeah.
We've all had our moments. Courtney Love, there's never an excuse.
Yeah, I mean, all Courtney Love does is just string together barely intelligible English in some sort of like whiny kind of.
She's a white trash Yoko Ono.
Shit. Well, it's another episode. We've been back. We've been gone for a while, but now we're back. Did you miss us? You shouldn't have. On this episode, was this number 11?
Sure.
No, I don't know anymore.
I think it's 10.
Is it 10?
I think this is our 10th anniversary.
This was supposed to be a special one. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to do a top 10 something. Sorry. Oh, let's just call it 9. I don't know. Today we're going to talk about how the Jays are collapsing like Courtney Love's vagina. Cold War II and how that's upon us. Or it damn well should be. Makes for great TV. And why isn't Will Smith funny anymore? But first, let's get it over with. And the train wreck that is the Toronto Blue Jays.
But we should say, Brent Williams and I were at the Blue Jays game last night, and they lost 14-1 to the Boston Red Sox.
14-1.
So bad we left, and we've never left before.
Never left. But, you know...
We're the kind of gals who stay with an abusive fella.
Yeah.
But this time it was one black eye too many.
One black eye too many. One too many big poppies, if you know what I mean.
Yep. Well, I mean, what can you say about the collapse of the Toronto Blue Jays? It's the ironic thing is that it's been everything that we thought it wouldn't be. We thought the pitching was going to be a disaster. The pitching has held up. It's they can't score a run. And you made the point last night, Mr. Williams. If Boston had scored 2 runs, they still would have won last night.
Yeah.
So
they got what? 4 hits by the end of the night?
Pretty much.
Didn't really matter. But it's a different animal when you're down 2-1, when you're down 14-1. You're just trying to go home. Everybody's trying to go home at some point.
Yep.
Like it was 14-1 after 4 innings, and that was it. They didn't score after that because everybody was just like, okay, this is the result. We just want to go home.
Do you think that there's any chance the Blue Jays can come back and take the division? Because I think that's what they're going to have to do if they want to go to the postseason. You've got to win the division because the person who comes in second place in the AL East is not going to the playoffs.
Well, I think right now we're relying on the injury excuse right now, but once that wears out in about 3 weeks and they're still cold, even with all their hitters in the lineup, what are we going to do about? So maybe that's a better question to ask them. But right now we have an excuse. We have a really good one, and we're just riding with that. So right now we're treading water, but we're not treading water very well when you're losing 14-1 to a last place team.
Well, things are so bad. Ryan Goins is back, so.
Anyway, let's step into a little bit of politics. And I wanted to talk about how we've got another Cold War brewing, or at least we should. Nobody's really pressing that button, but I think we should just go all out and just press the button. The confetti should come down. The Cold War is back, folks.
I think that's where it's going. Because obviously you're not going to go to war with Russia because nobody wants to go to war at all anymore.
No.
I mean, we have flying robots to do that now.
Yeah. So let's just hate the Russians like we used to. Red versus blue.
I think espionage is on the rise. I really do. I mean, like you said, drones.
Well, they're already spying on the Germans. Why not spy on the Russians?
Yeah, drones, black ops. This is pretty much, we're coming into another ultra-modern Cold War. Well, I know that's the reason Brent wants the Cold War back. Because the Soviets just make such good bad guys.
Yeah, bad guys.
And let's face it, Vladimir Putin is a Soviet.
Yeah.
He's a former KGB colonel.
Yeah.
This guy, the Cold War never ended for this guy. The Cold War is him and Kim Jong Un sitting in a hot tub reminiscing.
Yeah, he's like that crazy guy from Octopussy. He's like that crazy general that just wants to conquer the world. And they're like, what are you doing? It's like 1985. This is over with. Even we're calling it quits. We've built 7 McDonald's. We're ready to embrace democracy, and you're building tanks. Like it's over. There's no such thing as communism McNuggets.
No, there's just turnip lines.
Yeah.
And dwindling vodka rations.
And high employment, which
actually I'd kill for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, which democracy sure as shit can't say anything about. Wait, I guess if we're gonna have the Cold War, I guess we should pick sides because I'm not sure which one I want to be on.
The winning side, so better brush up on your Russian.
Maybe.
No, these people are a bunch of clowns. That was the best part of the Cold War was that the Soviets, nobody could ever actually do anything. I mean, in a sense, it was really dangerous because obviously you've got thousands of nukes pointed in every which direction. But at the same time, everybody knows that nobody's ever going to use them because that's a death sentence for your regime. That's a death sentence for humanity. So in a way, having the Soviet Union there, the U.S. could never have done something like, say, start the Iraq War if the Soviet Union had been around because it wouldn't have been possible.
Exactly.
The Soviets would have had influence there too. But now the United States has had the last 20 years to just kind of run hog wild, and they fucked everything up.
Yeah.
So maybe we need actually a counterbalance brought back into the equation to rein the Americans in and stop them from doing stupid shit for their own damn good.
Yeah, but one has to think these days, like it wouldn't be... I mean, obviously Russia's running rampant by invading Ukraine and shit like that, but really one has to think that it wouldn't be Russia against the United States. What does China have to say about all this?
I think China's more or less in the same position they were in the first Cold War. They're the wild card.
Even
one
now?
No one knows what the fuck they're gonna do. I think even now.
Well, Putin's whole thing was remember when all of this started, his threat was, oh, so the West doesn't like what I'm doing in the Ukraine? Fine, I'll go be friends with China. Well, good luck with that.
China doesn't like him.
Well, I think that they probably have more in common than we have with him, but at the same time, China's playing for their own interests. So the U.S. can always, just like Nixon tried to do, you can always play China against the Russians at the same time because they'll get in bed with anyone, and so will we.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Yeah, we're in bed with the Chinese right now. Stephen Harper made sure of that. So,
yep, and we're definitely on the bottom.
We are on the bottom.
Stephen
and we're not
Harper.
a power bottom. Not at all.
We're just taking it.
Nope, we're like full on twink.
Yeah.
Everyone who lives in BC is taking it the most. There's the real penetrative part of the whole process.
And we really have battered wife syndrome.
And we're back to spousal abuse. But no, I think the other side of the Cold War that people kind of forget about is, how many great things got done because of the Cold War. And yeah, there's a dark side to the Cold War, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, millions of people died.
Afghan War.
But, it wasn't as bad as what came before it.
That's true.
Like, it was an improvement. And on the other hand, there's, like, you think anybody would have ever landed on the moon if they weren't trying to shove it in someone else's face?
Yeah.
Spite is the only way to motivate the lazy.
Yeah, well, what do we have now, though?
We have a bunch of people running around in no particular direction, a bunch of organizations that have no power and are useless, like NATO and the UN.
Yeah, like what does anybody have to prove anymore?
Exactly, nothing.
I mean, even the States is looking at like the extremists in like Iraq, for example, and going like, why the hell are you even doing anything? There's no point.
Nobody wants
People
to
are
take over the world because there's no world to take over.
Well, exactly. It's just gotten to the point where it's just boring now, or useless, or inefficient, or something. Right?
I think people in the West, and particularly Americans, don't have any interest in responding to things anymore because they know that there's no real threat. Right? If you have the scary Soviet Union or some kind of enemy that you can easily reduce to like a comical straw man in a silly hat, then maybe you could actually get people to care about something like Iraq.
Like we did with the North Koreans last year.
Yeah, I mean
They're a joke.
It's super cynical, but yeah, I mean those guys aren't villains. Those guys are like.
Well, yeah, no, they aren't. That's the thing, is they're not even worthy. I guess that's my point, is if we have this, Putin's legitimately a villain, and it's funny, and it's good stuff. It makes for good stuff. I don't know. Makes the Olympics interesting again. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, in Canada, when it was here, you just talked about the sports. Like that's boring. Fuck sports. I want politics and death.
Yeah, I want
and
the Olympics
corruption.
to be what the UN is supposed to be, which is the accepted forum for hatred.
Yep. Screw Michael Phelps. I want to see Michael Phelps get shot by a Russian dude.
Oh, yeah, remember all the hit squads and the coups?
Remember Munich? Remember the Munich Olympics when people got kidnapped and shit?
I'm not touching that one. The cheese stands alone on that one.
Cheese stands alone.
What was the other thing we were going to talk about relating to the Cold War? There was something else you mentioned.
Oh, Bond villains.
Yes.
Was that
So-
it?
Yes. So basically what you want is another Cold War so that we can get our Bond villains
Well, I
back.
just think Daniel Craig just makes like the ruthless Bond like Pierce Brosnan was able to be a ruthless Bond after the Cold War. If you mix Daniel Craig's hyper ruthless Bond with like the Sean Connery and the Roger Moore against the Russian Bond, I think you just make for perfect Bond movies again.
We need to start a Facebook group. Bring back Spectre.
Yeah, bring back Spectre for sure, and the KGB, and General Gorgel and all that shit.
Yeah.
You could have modern Bond with, just it's not going to be communist Cold War style. It's going to be, rogue, weird desert guerrilla war style.
Well, that's like
That's all is left.
in the minds of these people. The Cold War never ended. And by the way, even Pierce Brosnan ended up fighting the North Koreans.
Yeah,
And
and
that
that's what I
was-
was gonna say. They tried to make the North Koreans into the bad guys in
And that was-
2002.
That was the worst Bond film of all time, in my opinion.
I wouldn't blame the North Koreans for that. I'd blame the invisible fucking car and Madonna.
Yeah, but at the same time, really, North Korea has hovercrafts, but they don't have food.
Well, they had to, but they had to make the guy white. They're like, well, he'd never get away with this being a North Korean. He had to have some magical surgery to make him into a white guy. That also changes his accent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's some really good stuff.
talk a little Will Smith.
Keep it tight.
Yeah, this will be a toit one.
Yeah. Well, that's what Jenna Jameson's parents said, right?
Shout out to Tito Ortiz who married that shit. Like, why would you do that? Like, like it's been well documented that your wife has been like railed a lot, like a lot.
That's like eating a hamburger that somebody else has barfed back up. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we should find some sort of segue from the Cold War into Will Smith.
It's not even ground beef anymore. It's just mock chicken.
Well, why isn't there any James Bond villains anymore that are worth emulating? Why isn't there any humor worth having? Like, namely, Will Smith. What the fuck happened to that guy? Like things have gone away, and this is one of those things.
Well, Will Smith wants to be an actor, or wants to be a real actor now, and he wants an Oscar real bad.
And not just a rich fucking actor, just an actor who has credentials, I guess.
Can you frame the actual question that we're asking, though?
Why isn't Will Smith funny anymore? Because that's what made him money. That's what people like.
Well, on the one hand, you've got the way that people see you, and then on the other hand, you've got the way that you would prefer to be seen.
It's true.
And at some point, I mean, yeah, you have all this success because people see you a certain way, and they pin a certain level of expectation on you. But then once you've had success with that, you really kind of want to go back and you want to be what you feel you could be. And I think he feels that he can't be Denzel. He can't even be Jamie Foxx. But he feels like he could do that, and he wants to do that for himself, I guess. And so through taking himself too seriously, he's forced everyone else to take him not seriously at all.
Do you think he can be funny anymore because of that?
He's the same guy. I mean, I'm sure he could be.
Well, I don't know. If Jamie Foxx did a comedy these days, I don't know what would happen. Jamie Foxx has actually been what Will Smith is trying to be.
The question of whether somebody has the skill or whether they have
Will it work out?
whether they have it in them, like to actually want to do it and come up with something to turn out a performance are two separate questions.
Yeah.
I think. But he's just gotten so caught up in doing these awful like pseudo dramas because he wants an Academy Award so bad.
Well, on the side, is it not even that? Like, I didn't even mind those dramas. Like, Pursuit of Happiness was a good
That
movie.
was a good movie.
But like these science fiction bullshit movies where you just
I Am Legend and
Yeah,
he
like, he just ruined that
sucks
whole
M. Night
thing.
Shyamalan's cock, and you're just like, this is the biggest piece of, and of course he has to drag out his shitty kid too. So clearly it's not in the genes. This is not a family business, even though he's trying to make it one.
Yeah, the whoring out of the kids.
I will not whip my hair back and forth.
Oh my God.
You're more than welcome to, but I will not.
At this point, we'll pause and give you a chance to whip your hair back and forth.
If you like.
If that's who you are, if that's what you want, but we're just not those guys.
Can't do it.
I mean, I don't think he can be funny anymore. Like, I don't think so. I mean, because he was funny at a time where he had it all together. I mean, he's rapping right before that, and then he just got the show without even trying. People just noticed who he was.
There are talks that he's actually gonna rap again too, which is even more of a stretch than our conversation.
Because I don't know.
Can he be funny more? Can he rap
I
anymore?
definitely don't.
Don't think he can rap anymore.
Not
Will Smith
at
don't got
all.
to cuss in his raps to sell records. Well, I do. So fuck him and fuck you too.
Now everybody has to cuss in their raps to sell records. I don't know. I think the only thing holding on to both of those things is just the nostalgic value.
Yeah, well, I think that's why. I mean, maybe it's a smart business move to try and do that because people love nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were just watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. There's nothing more nostalgic than that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I have a hard time respecting him because of the whoring out of the kids and I don't know. Maybe it's too much to ask from one man to be brilliant more than once. You know, maybe expecting somebody to keep doing the same thing that they did over and over and over again. I mean, nobody can do that. At some point, everybody fucks it up, right?
That's true. And
Mike
plus,
Myers isn't funny anymore. He was hilarious.
Yeah. Plus, it's been 25 years.
Yes,
It's been
it has.
25 years. He's had a long career, no matter what you want to say about it, in both comedy, action, drama, music. He's had a long career.
He's done it
Most
all.
people don't have this long. And the fact that he's able to come up with these decisions, I mean, they're making a third Bad Boys. They made a third Men in Black.
Shouldn't have.
Really, what does he do? It's not like he can be Will from Fresh Prince anymore. Like, that's not... Who wants to see grown-up Will?
But I can definitely see an advanced version of his humor, what he would do now. Like
I always saw Will Smith's later, like if he continued on that path, I always saw him being like a funny Adam Sandler, like the
Exactly.
black goofy middle-aged guy who's a perpetual frat boy,
Or, like, big enough...
like a Will.
Yeah. Or like Adam Sandler is sitting in his studio going, let's do this. And everybody's like, this is the stupidest fucking idea I've ever heard. Why is this a movie?
Yeah.
Grown Ups 3. Awesome.
Yeah, somebody go round up Steve Buscemi at gunpoint.
What negative weird ass career do you really want this actor to have given us? You know, like some
No,
weird comedy or some weird drama or some weird whatever.
I don't think it's fair to impose that on somebody because again, like how many people have more than one really great TV show? Look at like Ray Romano. Ray Romano's the luckiest son of a bitch who ever lived, but he had that hit show that was on TV when there was nothing else funny going on, and then now he does Ice Age movies. You know, Mike Myers had a couple great films. He was big on SNL. He had basically two franchises, and now he does voiceover stuff. You know, how many great, brilliant things can one person be asked to churn out, really?
That's true.
Yeah, you have a point there. Yeah, you're right.
But here's the thing, though, with Jim Carrey, though, is he's actually doing what we're asking, and we're going to see with the new Dumb and Dumber. And I think it's going to flop. So I think that's the answer to our question. Why isn't Will Smith funny anymore? Because he doesn't need to be, and if he tried, it probably wouldn't work.
Nope. And these guys get so rich and so famous and so successful that they think they can do anything. And I think you lose a sense of perspective on yourself. You know, people think that comics and actors and things aren't like athletes, where, you know, athletes at some point you physically just can't do it anymore and you have to hang it up. And, you know, it really is the same with most artists, too. No matter what genre you're in, at some point, most people just have to hang it up.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot, I think, to admit to yourself, I just don't have it anymore.
Yeah. Or then you just turn into Snoop Dogg. You just turn into a lovely children's character.
I mean, one of the only people who's gone their whole career doing amazing work was George Carlin, because he didn't spread himself thin. He just did awesome specials like every year, every 2 years, whatever.
If you could have the career of any comedian, who would it be?
Bill Cosby.
Really?
No.
Because that guy's out of control. His one of his last specials was on the Comedy Network the other, and he just sits there and he just makes marriage jokes for an hour.
Yeah,
and
he can't
white
even-
people just eat it up.
He literally can't stand anymore. He's got to sit.
Apparently, he rapes people too and stuff. I don't know.
Wow.
Sexual harassment. I've heard some sexual harassment suits.
How does a guy who can't move rape you?
I don't know.
I don't think he
Is
rapes.
he like sneaky fast? or-
Jello.
He's playing Casino Rama.
What happened?
Pudding's a hell of a drug.
It is. No, I would actually take George Carlin's career, hands down. But I think most people would say that. What about you?
I don't know if I'd want longevity.
Yeah, all your behaviors suggest you wouldn't.
No. Maybe Richard Pryor?
Go running down the street on fire. Fuck yeah.
What about you, James?
Yeah, Larry David.
Larry.
Yeah.
Although I would do more alcohol and more drugs than he did. He did nothing. Like he's just a clean guy.
You made me think of the person and that's Jerry Seinfeld. Just do one thing and just
Yeah.
sit back and get paid for the rest of your goddamn life for that one thing.